In the Truth and Reconciliation Commission's final report, Call to Action 48 subsection 2 calls on the church parties to the settlement agreement and other faith groups and interfaith social justice groups in Canada to respect Indigenous peoples' right to self-determination in spiritual matters, consistent with Article 12.1 of the United Nations Declaration on the Rights of Indigenous Peoples.
I've also trained in the mystical aspects of Judaism, a much more heart-centered tradition that emphasizes a loving, caring relationship between God, God's people, and the whole of creation through song, story, and supplication. Next month, on July 7th, I will receive ordination as a Kohenet, an Indigenous Hebrew priestess, a wise woman tradition that adeptly blends heart, mind, and body and soul approaches to spirituality, and one that feels most authentic to me. Today I want to speak briefly to three topics: the sacred within, the sacred place, and peace. My wisdom tradition teaches that we are created in the image of the divine creator, and therefore we all have sparks of the sacred within us. This wisdom tradition also teaches that community must come together for prayer and worship, and that human-built structures in which we practice our spiritual traditions become holy when they are used continuously over time. Our legal codes teach that space that was once used for sacred gatherings may never be used again for mundane or indeed profane activities. Once a place has become consecrated through worship to the divine creator, it becomes forever holy. And thus I personally, and my faith tradition also, is in alignment with the peoples of this region who want areas of land protected in perpetuity. Next, each faith or wisdom tradition represented here today has some version of the Golden Rule, an expectation that one will treat others as they themselves wish to be treated. As a representative of the Jewish wisdom tradition, I wish to emphatically state that in order for us to experience peace, we must learn about the other. We cannot treat the other as ourselves if we remain as strangers to one another. We must gather together in prayer, in worship, and to break bread and share a meal, to speak of our wisdoms, knowledges, and experiences. If we cannot do this without support, then we must bring in experienced mediators who can facilitate cross-cultural dialogue when there is deep-rooted conflict. We must open our ears to listen, not just to hear, open our eyes to the divine in all, and open our hearts in compassion, in deeper understanding of the roles we have each played in the strife that our world is currently experiencing. There is so much healing that can happen if we come together in community. Further, in doing so, I believe that we will collectively come to a greater understanding of what sacred space means for each community of faith, to each wisdom tradition that gathers. That understanding will increase our reverence for the places that have been deemed sacred by other traditions. And from that deeper awareness, I pray that we will make different, better, increasingly caring and loving choices about the land upon which we stand, this whole creation. And those choices can be made at the individual, corporation, development, and by our governments and other rulers. This land that we stand on is our holy land, whether a person of faith or a person of science or a blend of these two frameworks. I pray that we agree that protecting the earth, protecting Turtle Island, we will ensure that our children and our grandchildren, the entire human race, will be able to continue. I ask you now to call upon the divine creator in the language that you feel most comfortable. May our creator shower this gathering with blessings. May we each be refreshed, renewed, and strengthened in our hearts, in compassion to the other, wherever we may find a stranger, and through our individual and collective efforts, may we build a happier, healthier community that has increased respect for all peoples who inhabit this land. And I ask you all to answer in the affirmative. Amen, Amin, Salah, may it be so.